Alright, welcome to my video. My name's Eckogen. We're going to go over the last boss in Starstone Mines. When you get to the boss, he's surrounded by 7 mobs. The mob at 10 o'clock wakes up at 90%. The one at 6 o'clock wakes up at 75%. 2 o'clock wakes up at 50%. 8 o'clock wakes up at 30%. And then 3 of them wake up at 10%. So 11, 1, and 4 o'clock wakes up at 10%. Now the add phase is depending on how quickly you push him down for burst wise of damage and where he is in his attack cycle. So when it gets to 90, 75, 50, 30 and 10% health, he's not going to automatically stop and start the add phase. This right here is his triple slam attack. He does it very commonly throughout the fight. On the third hit, it's going to cause a knockdown. You can block it or iframe it. I recommend doing a party iframe. Now, you'll see this message here when it says he awakens the Greywolves. Right after that message appears, he's going to do a room-wide AoE roar. This can be blocked, or you could party iframe it as well. And there's going to be an ad that he summons. So since he's at 90%, it's the 10 o'clock ad that awoken. I recommend having the ranged players deal with the ads. The person who gets the last hit on the ad will get a flame debuff. So that's that, fire graphics that you see that's shooting out of the ad right there. It's going to the person who got the last hit. Now he's going to shoot a freeze breath at the furthest player. It's very important that you either avoid it or iframe it. Do not get hit by that. There's the freeze breath again, so remember to avoid it or iframe it. Here's the triple slam attack. The third one's a knockdown. So if you're tanking this and you do get knocked down, tab right away, because if you're down there for like a couple seconds, he's going to pounce on top of you and start biting you, which deals massive damage. Now, if threat is lost to a ranged player, get as close as you can to the boss right away, because he's going to try to knock you down and then pounce on you. There's his triple slam. And because that player got pounced, he's jumping on top of them, or got knocked down, he's pouncing on top of them and then biting them. Alright, so when he searches for prey, this is the start of the actual mechanic. He's going to target 2 of the closest players, and he's going to place a freeze debuff upon them. In hard mode, he targets 3 closest players. So when the 2 closest gets the freeze debuff, it's going to last for 5 seconds, and then it'll become a frost. But you're also chained together with the other person as well. So the 2 people who are closest that receive the debuff are chained together. So if you both SS away at the same time, then you will automatically break the chain and enter into frost. So you get freeze first and then it becomes frost. When you get the frost, you get that for 15 seconds and then you automatically die at the end. So you cannot cleanse frost unless the person with the flame moves to you and to transfer the flame buff into you. That's how you remove the frost debuff. Now, once again, the boss is going to fire the freeze breath at the furthest player. And then you're going to see this animation right here where he sucks up all the coldness in the room. So he's going to jump 3 times. As soon as he lands, there's going to be a ring that expands outwards from him, and you have to jump over this ring. So if you get hit by this ring, and let's say you had no buffs, if you get hit by the ring, you get a freeze, which then after 5 seconds automatically becomes a frost. But during that freeze, you can SS away to cleanse it. If you, let's say, get hit by that ring twice, because he jumps 3 times, that freeze automatically becomes a frost, and then you're going to die at the end of 15 seconds unless someone with flame touches you to pass it on. So there's the second jump right there. Make sure you jump over it. There's the third jump, and he's going to fire a freeze breath at the furthest player. And since the chain is broken, you can see here I've entered the frost debuff state, so that it has a 15-second countdown, and there's nothing I can do about that until the flame person comes over to me. And then he's going to do that suction animation again, and then he's going to jump another 3 times. So he jumps for a total of 6 times per phase. And you see the person with flame making their way over to me. It's very important for the person with the flame to not get hit by that ice ring, because if they do get hit, they're going to lose that flame. And it's not too bad if it happens in normal mode, but if you lose that flame in hard mode, it's pretty much a wipe. So you might as well just reset if you lose it. So you can see how as soon as they touch me, it brought me out of the frost debuff and gave me now the flame debuff. So when you pass the flame debuff onto someone else, the person who passes on, they then have a 20-second debuff where they cannot receive that flame buff. So, for example, when she passed that flame buff onto me, let's say she got frozen, like right there, I can't give her the flame debuff again because she's still on that 20-second cooldown. So on the 6th jump, he lands in the middle of the room. He's always going to land in the middle of the room. And he's going to do this very fast iced AoE. You have to iframe it. Otherwise, whoever gets hit by it, he'll apply a freeze debuff. If you have the flame, you lose the flame. If you already had 1 stack of freeze, you get a frost. So remember that having 1 stack of freeze, you getting hit again automatically makes it a frost. And now he's going to absorb all the debuffs. So if there was a flame debuff and he absorbs that, it's going to cause 10% damage to his health. And then for any amount of freeze or frost debuffs that he absorbs, he's going to gain 3% health for each of those that he receives from. And dead players do count for that. Now, when he's absorbing these buffs, if you had frost, it'll automatically kill you, just like it did for party members 3 right there. So that's why it's very important to have whoever had the flame to still have it and iframe that ice AoE. That way it deals that 10% damage to the boss. And ideally, you do not want anyone to have freeze or frost. And then once he absorbs that, that is pretty much the end of his mechanics. So that is pretty much everything he does for the mechanics. Now it just repeats until he's dead. So he's going to awaken the Greywolves. And remember that after he awakens it, he's going to do a room-wide roar. So remember to either block that or iframe it or do a party iframe. And remember that there is an ad that's active right now. So when the ranged players should handle that and then keep whoever has the flame debuff needs to keep that safe. Now the flame debuff does cause damage over time. In normal mode, it is not very much damage. In hard mode, it does hurt a little bit, but as long as that person does have a lot of life leech, then they'll be fine. Now he's going to do the freeze breath towards somebody, so do not get hit by that. Get hit by that freeze breath will apply 1 stack of freeze. So remember that if you have 1 stack of freeze, after 5 seconds, it automatically becomes frost, but you can SS to cleanse it. The freeze, that is. You can't cleanse frost. There's a triple slam. And remember that whoever last hits the mob gets the flame buff. And the flame buff can easily be passed by touching another player. So that's why a ranged player should have it. Because if a melee has it and you have multiple melees in the party, then you're going to keep passing it on to each other. There's the freeze breath again. There's the triple slam. Now he's awakening another Grey Wolf, so it's 3 of them because it's at 10%. And remember that he does the roar. There's the freeze breath again. And that is the mechanics for the last boss on Starstone Mines. So while you're doing this mechanics, ideally there only should be 2 people in normal mode or 3 in hard mode that you should be having to unfreeze with the flame debuff. And remember that the debuff, the flame debuff, passes on to that person. So let's say, remember earlier, it was me, so number 1, and party number 5 who got it. So whoever has the flame debuff, so let's say party number 3 had it. So if she goes to number 5 first to get rid of his frost, then he has flame. He then needs to go over to me because I will have frost, and then that will get rid of my frost, and then I will have the flame. So ideally, there only should be the people who he targets that you have to, unfrost, like cleanse the frost debuff. Because remember that he does jump around the room, he causes those ice rings, so touching that will give you freeze, which then becomes frost after 5 seconds. But you can SS to cleanse it, and then the freeze breaths do apply 1 stack of freeze as well. So ideally, if everyone does it correctly, there should only be those people that he targeted that you have to cleanse for frost. So I will include the mechanics in the video description below. If you still have questions, please ask and I'll do my best to answer them. Thanks for watching. Hope that helps.